Hello and welcome to our Retire Early lifestyle. People think that they can just escape crime by moving to a foreign country, or perhaps that's just what they're being told. But nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, we've debunked all that nonsense in previous videos. The media loves to commonly refer to the USA as dangerous, and they love to make sure that we know how dangerous the inner big cities are like Chicago, Detroit, Memphis, and Houston. The media reports Chicago had 12 fatal shootings over the weekend. Yes, the USA is dangerous in certain areas. It's very dangerous. We're not saying the US isn't dangerous. But would you go walk around at night in those big cities? Most people don't go out walking around in dangerous big cities of America at night, do they? We wouldn't even live in those cities because of the violence that is out of control. I'm sorry that there are Americans that live in these dangerous cities, but if you can move to a foreign country, you can move to a different city or state, right? The point here is that foreign living is portrayed as the best solution as a way to escape or remove crime from your life, but that is just not so. On a personal level, we narrowly escaped kidnapping attempts on 2 occasions while we were living in an average-sized town in Mexico. We were also road raged, rammed by another vehicle which caused auto body damage in the hundreds to our car. Yes, in Mexico. And it was a hit and run. We had to suffer the repairs. And while riding as passengers with some expat friends in another city in Mexico, we were pulled over and hustled for $165 by imposters posing as police. Of course, they threatened retaliation if we didn't comply. And we means our expat friend who is driving the car. And that's just in Mexico. In Ecuador, we couldn't get rid of the prowlers coming around jumping into our yard every week stealing stuff, and the police never seemed to put a stop to it either. Talk about lack of sleep, being woken up every week at 3 in the morning, fearing for your life, fearing they were going to break in, having to possibly confront a criminal while not being armed.
The prowling got so bad that I was getting up sometimes more than once in the middle of the night, jumping out of bed, startled, running, calling the cops.
Red to red?
Yeah, red to red. Just these powers, the powers can go together. Because
This is really cool.
And it was a really tough time of our lives. We went through that for a year and a half.
And you would think that since we made multiple reports of those crimes to the police, that the police would have figured out to stake out those robbers. Just park an unmarked car right there on the street, right? But no, it never happened. It's almost as if they don't care about you. You're just a foreigner anyway. This is not happening to us in the U.S., everyone. This just doesn't happen. At risk of sounding like a broken record, we do not have a bullseye on our backs here in the USA. You go ahead and take a guess. When you go abroad, you're the target. Now, if all that happened to just one family, imagine all of the expat crime you're not hearing about. And here's another thing. Foreign crime rates are significantly underreported. As much as 90% go unreported in some areas. So if you add that back in, you will see that the numbers aren't all that different comparing to the U.S. crime and foreign crime. They're just about the same. The other thing that is different when we go abroad, and this appears to go over people's heads, is that we, meaning the expat, is the target. Meaning as soon as you get off the plane, you are already a target. In Vilcabamba, Ecuador, the silly expats with their huge houses out in the country were like shooting fish in a barrel for those local criminals. The expats were fleeing for their lives, abandoning their luxury houses. That's what happens to people that put their head in the sand and believe in fairy tales. Everyday life in the majority of places in America is not like this at all. If you only watch headlines, it can look like violent crime is constantly exploding everywhere in the U.S., but that's skewed because the coverage heavily favors the most shocking cases, while everyday life in most places is not violent. People love to talk about how dangerous the U.S. is, but in actuality, Americans are more apt to be a victim of street crimes, home robberies, or of being scammed in a foreign country in places like Spain, Thailand, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Mexico, and Colombia, and more. And that's in the nice neighborhoods. Your chances of getting something stolen from you or getting robbed or scammed are higher when you move to Colombia or Ecuador than living in your own country. And that's because of how you are perceived as a rich person. You are the target here. You are the target. You're not singled out in your own country like you are when you go abroad. Many naive people travel to these small South American countries and soon get robbed. Sometimes the very same day they land, they're robbed of something. All the screenshots I'm showing you right now are from 2026, so they're not that old. Look at the dates and see that many of these are recent robberies. You might be thinking, yes, but this is just petty crime. No, it's not. Very few of these robberies I'm showing you are petty. If a person gets knocked to the ground for their phone or purse, is that petty to you? And I'm not even showing you the home invasion crime that is prevalent in Ecuador or the drug and robbery scams that are prevalent in Colombia that have led to fatal endings. This is just the robberies from YouTube people, okay, that have the courage to show that they were robbed. Let's take Thailand, for instance. Most people gloat about the safety of Asia, but really, the fact that Westerners are targets for street crime, robberies, and scams in Asia, and the chances that something will happen to those who are simply unaware of their surroundings is very high in Asian countries compared to your own. That's why I can go on YouTube and put in robbed in Thailand, robbed in Ecuador, robbed in Mexico, and numerous videos pop up about Westerners getting robbed in Thailand or Mexico or Ecuador. Of course, you won't hear or see the violent ones that become fatal because they did not remain alive enough to make a YouTube video about it. Westerners, especially Americans and Brits, appear to be easy scam targets as well because many are naive to the types of scams in Thailand before they move to or travel there. Another reason why Westerners are big crime targets is because many of them drink, and they drink a lot. This makes you a targeted crime of opportunity, and it makes you more vulnerable when you're drinking. And in Thailand, where romance, dating, and scams are prevalent, mixed with an inebriated Westerner, spells danger to us. Expats often put themselves in danger doing the same things they would back home, but they get into trouble doing that very same thing they would back home when they go abroad. So let's talk about the neighborhoods. Americans can live in a good neighborhood in America where there is a crime watch in the community. Everyone watches out for everyone, and the police may even come around and police the area on a regular basis. That's because in America, the police are more proactive, and actually most of them do their job, thank goodness. We have the police that cruise through our neighborhood from time to time here in the U.S., and it's a good thing they do. We like it. And yes, there are some property crimes, but when you go abroad to Costa Rica or Spain, for instance, and you live in a so-called good neighborhood, your chances of becoming a robbery victim in your own home increases double-fold in a country like Spain or Costa Rica because the foreigners understand that you are perceived rich. In your own country, your neighbors are watching out for anything that might look suspicious. They don't do that in Costa Rica or Spain. You move abroad and you're basically on your own. Something that also many people do not realize is your chances of becoming a victim of a home robbery invasion in another country goes way up because they know you're not armed. In America, many Americans are armed and many Americans will defend their property, family, and life if it comes down to that. So remember, when you travel and move abroad, it's not where you came from in the USA. It's not like that. The USA is actually a safety haven compared to moving and living in a foreign country. So do you have any stories you would like to share with us today about a crime experience you had when living abroad? Let us know in the comments, as we all can learn from each other about the real dangers of living in a foreign country. So thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe and have a great day. Take care and bye-bye.